Hello everyone, and welcome back to another short report. This is what I'm calling these now. So today I got another game in. A friend of mine really wanted to play Spire Tyrants. Spire Tyrants are, as you all know, not a good warband. So I really thought, hey, what could I do to make this like a more interesting, balanced conflict? So what I did was, I'll show you the list now. We got the Spire Tyrants, of course. This is an out-of-the-box warband, so we have a dagger with the Bestigor, a pit veteran, and a pit. Sorry, that's a pit veteran and a pit fighter with a spear. Then we got our shield, which is obviously the most heavily loaded with our leader, our pit veteran, a pit fighter with net, and the dwarf. And then we got our hammer with the executioner guy and another pit veteran. So what did I do? Well, I picked a warband I don't even own. I do not own a Sylvaneth army. However, I do own one band of dryads who I use as supports for my Untitled army. That's why they are all painted like corals. So I made a list from all the dryads and one Deepkin hero I took as an ally because I really didn't want to rely only on dryads. That would have been a bit boring. So the one with the skeleton here is gonna be my dryad leader. Then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more dryads and my Ishleyan soul render. And that's really all my list. So let's have a look at the game then. This is our setup. Again, I know the card's German, so it's not gonna matter too much to you, but you can see what the board looks like. We got identical, so a fair setup basically. So both of our daggers are gonna be in turn 1, and then our shields and hammers come in to flank the daggers basically on turn 2. For our victory conditions, each player was able to drop 2 victory markers, so treasure markers, not treasure, sorry, it's objective markers, of course, 2 objective markers, and you would score 1 point for each of them at the end of every battle round. It's meant to end after 3 battle rounds, and the player with more victory points is gonna score. Our twist, we both just got 1 extra wild dice. So this is what our board looked like. For round 1, we rolled a 4 initiative. The red dice are for Sylvaneth here, and the black ones are for the Spire Tyrants, because that fits the colors. Spire Tyrants rolled 1 triple, and the Sylvaneth rolled 2 doubles. Both of us decided not to spend any wild dice. I'm awfully sorry, guys. Both of us decided not to spend any wild dice because we were not gonna be able to get into combat anyways first turn. So what happened in turn 1? Well, we both took control of our objectives here. So black, obviously the black rimming is for the Spire Tyrants, the yellow ones is for my Sylvaneth. What's important here is that I was thinking about moving this dryad right here over to his point and maybe take it. However, he cleverly prevented that by moving his pit veteran all the way over here to block basically my advance, so I could not have gone all the way over there without getting into combat and not getting out again. So I then decided against it, especially since he also set it up in a way that he had 2 supports on this objective, so me moving over there would not have helped me at all. So instead we both put our strongest fighter to where the enemy hammer was gonna come on. He knew I was only dropping 2 dryads for his hammer, so he was pretty confident putting his Bestigor there. In his case, he's gonna have the head claimer and 1 pit veteran over here. I know that might be a bit much for my Soul Render. However, I'm hoping to use his double to pin the head claimer down early on in the turn and make him waste his turn, basically. So that's turn 1 done. So we rolled initiative for round 2, and you can ignore this white dice, it wasn't actually used. My opponent only used 1 wild dice to make another double. I used 2, so I kept 1 in reserve, he kept 2 in reserve, and I had a triple and he had a double, 3 singles. We rolled off and he won the initiative, so he went first. So our reserves came on. Obviously my Dryads had to come on basically left and right of the Bestigor. My shield coming on over here. His shield, all 4 fighters coming on over there, because that's the closest way in, and obviously Spire Tyrants are pretty slow, so they need to be able to move as far as possible. And that's where the Spire Tyrants hammer came in. He wanted to set himself up in a way that his head claimer could not be immediately pinned by me, which was clever, so I would have to at least spend a move action with my Soul Render to pin him there. Because of course he could have, with initiative, he could have moved him first to prevent me pinning him. However, he wanted to get the first move up here. And yeah, let's see what happened afterwards. So this is our aftermath. First off, obviously there was a lot of movement. We all moved towards the center. You can see all of his 4 fighters over here. He then pinned me there, so this is what this net sign basically here is. He pinned one of my fighters there, so I wasn't able to do anything with him this turn. But I pinned his head claimer down there, so he wasn't able to use him. However, his first action was using the Bestigor. Yes. And he killed 1 Sylvaneth there and put 9 damage on my other Dryad, so he was doing very, very well there, and I just got away with this guy with 1 health remaining. The Spire Tyrants got into they killed also another Sylvaneth over here. I moved in with him over here. I thought he would be safe, but sadly this little lone guy with the spear was able to take him down in 2 actions, and therefore I lost both points on the top here. So because obviously they were held by the Spire Tyrants before, I would have needed to outnumber him now, but sadly I did not. So his 2 fighters here were able to hold both points against my fighters, because both of them were holding this point, both of mine are holding this point, so that's a draw and he's keeping it. And only one of my fighters is holding this point, and one of his, that's also a draw, he's also keeping that one. So me losing this fighter was very bad in this turn, and put the Spire Tyrants in a 5-3 lead. Because I was able to grab this point, or keep this point, but obviously I couldn't do anything against the big onslaught coming here, and lost this point too. So I'm down 2 fighters, and I've lost on the points very badly this turn. Really need to pull it back in turn 3. We did put some wounds on a couple of guys, so this pit fighter is damaged. We damaged this pit veteran quite a bit, but yeah, it's not looking that great. So let's move on to round 3 initiative. This is supposedly the last battle round, so it's gonna be quite interesting. Oops, I'm sorry. That was not what I meant to do there. Anyways, obviously there was 2. So my opponent rolled all singles, which is very rare and very weird. Anyways, he made 2 doubles. I made a double and a triple. He obviously had initiative. So what happened here? Well, we didn't move much at all. That's because we were already very close to each other, very much in fighting distance. One guy that moved was the Bestigor from the rim here. He came up here, put a couple of wounds on my leader model, but otherwise very little movement. However, there was a ton of fighting and a ton of death. So my Soul Render was able to kill the pit veteran over here. My Dryad was able to kill the pit fighter up here, the one with net, which was quite essential. On the other hand, I did lose my Dryad to his leader there. The very damaged Dryad I had up here was also killed by a pit veteran, who in turn then was killed by my leader, and his pit fighter with spear was murderized by my Dryads. So I managed to pull down 4 of his fighters here. He killed 2 of mine. That's 4 down for each of us, which means that's a lot of death by the end of turn 2. We managed to take 3 points here. We managed to take these 2, which was very, very important, and we kept hold of this one because this Dryad down here, he survived. So both of these guys holding this point, they kept the draw on this point, and since I had it before, it was mine now still. So therefore you managed to tie the points to 6-6, and we went on to round number 4. For initiative, he won in terms of initiative again. He rolled 4 singles, 1 double. We're a very weird game. We didn't roll any high. I don't think anyone rolled a natural triple ever. I rolled 2 doubles and 2 singles. He made he made a single, so I couldn't steal initiative from him, and he made a double. Me personally, I made a double. So, what happened then? Well, this was a glorious, glorious battle round. One of the most fun ones I've had in Warcry, I think, overall. Anyway, so, obviously there was more death this turn. He managed to kill my leader with the Bestigor. The Bestigor with Onslaught, suddenly very, very imposing piece on the table, put a ton of damage out and easily killed my leader there. I wasn't too concerned with that because I still held both points, because again with a draw on the points you can't take them away. So I held both of these points. He did kill one of my guys down here as well, but I managed to kill another pit veteran with my Soul Render. Now, one of the 2 things that saved me this game was moving my Dryad from here to down there. So he also held on to this point, and as you can see here, we are tied on this point again because the dwarf sadly was too slow to get actually to it, because originally obviously there was a Sylvaneth standing here when the dwarf moved, and his legs were just too short to move closer. Yeah, and the other really most important thing here was that the head claimer threw out a ton of damage against my Soul Render, but you can see he's marked for 24 damage here. He has 25 wounds though, so he just survived with 1 wound left by the skin of his teeth, and therefore we claimed 3 objectives, he only had 1, and we won the game. If my guy had died here, if that 1 wound would have happened, I would have lost the game, because we would have been 2 all, so we would have gone to the 5th battle round, and there was no way I was going to survive the 5th battle round. The Dryad here, even if he could have killed the Bestigor, which I'm not sure he would have, but even if, none of these 2 models would have survived the battle round, because the leader is very powerful, the head claimer was perfectly healthy, and this would have definitely went bad for me. So what's interesting about this game? I think what's to take away from this is that we had a fantastic game. It was very close and very fun. And why was it that? Because I specifically decided to go with a bad warband. I think that's what you need to do in Warcry sometimes. As it is not a balanced game. And if you want to have fun games, do not take your most powerful lists against someone who is not playing the most powerful list. My opponent is definitely a good player in this one, and he could have won this by just simply using a rush on the dwarf here and making a bit more headway this way, so he could have held both objectives. He didn't. Doesn't matter really. What's important is that I didn't use a Skaven, my Optimist Skaven list for this. I didn't use my Corvus Cabal, who I feel are quite strong. I didn't use my Idoneth Deepkin. Of course you can crush Spire Tyrants, but that's not what this game is about. It's about finding something that's gonna make for a fun game, and I think this made for a very fun game. It also allowed me to bring out Sylvaneth, which I have never done before. That was a first off bringing Sylvaneth, so that was fun. I just think it's a very cool example for a game that was awesome, that was a lot of fun, and I absolutely recommend everyone to try and kind of play warbands who are on the same level. It's just more fun that way. Anyways guys, thank you very much for watching and see you in the next one.